Hi everyone, Jordan from Moving Tracks here. We're gonna get started in 1 or 2 minutes, but just hold in there and yeah, be ready in a minute or two. Hello again, everyone. Again, I'm Jordan from Moving Tracks, a digital marketing manager here. Just like to give you all a warm welcome, bienvenido, to mostly sunny Barcelona. Sorry if you hear any background noise. We are a startup, so a lot of things in motion here. Um, but yeah, our software helps museums, retail stores, events, banks, etc., integrate proximity technology into apps. We also run iBeacon's blog, which is one of the most popular proximity news gathering blogs in the world. The software itself is pretty flexible, very powerful, and it's fairly easy to use and starts at just 15 euros a month. After the webinar, we'll give you all a 1 month free to try it out for yourselves. So just as a bit of an introduction, as for myself, you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not from Barcelona. I'm from near Boston, US, and I have a master's degree with my thesis on iBeacons in the travel arena. So if I am willing to study masters on iBeacons, then you can tell I'm pretty excited about the technology. As far as this webinar, we know that there is a learning curve to any new technology, so we want to offer as much support as we can. My hope is that in this 30 minutes, you'll be inspired by the potential of beacons and proximity tools and feel just about ready to launch your campaign. So if you do have any questions or if you think something's up with the mic or the connection, please raise your hand. There should be a raise hand button. I've also turned on the question and answer piece as well as the chat, so you should be able to reach me through that, and I'll be sporadically checking in. And there will be a few minutes for question and answers at the end if we don't get to questions during the presentation, but feel free to raise them. I am seeing one now. Is there anyone there? Yes. So I think someone is having a bit of trouble on here. Give me 30 seconds to try and help them out. So hopefully that works itself out. I believe everyone should be able to see the chat, and you should be seeing me. If you're not, if you're having trouble, just type it in the chat. But time is short, so let's get going. Just pull up the presentation here. So here's the overview. Went through the introduction, and then I want to go into Beacon basics and best practices, as well as Proximity basics and best practices. Some Beacon troubleshooting if you have trouble with the hardware, and then a dashboard overview so that you can campaign. So you will be ready to launch. At the end, again, there'll be questions and answer. Okay, good to know that you can see me now. I believe there is a bit of a delay, so that's what you might be experiencing. So, what is proximity marketing? Well, that slide up. Well, proximity marketing is any system that utilizes location technology, basically to communicate with predominantly customers via portable devices such as a mobile phone or an iPad. Uses of proximity marketing include distributing media at concerts, giving out information. People have used it for gaming and other social applications, retail check-ins for payment. There are a seemingly unlimited amount of uses for proximity marketing. And it's not just one technology. It can actually be implemented using a number of different methods, including NFC, geofencing, and beacons. So, what are each of those? Let me actually back up to that slide so you can still see it. So NFC is the technology deployed for Apple Pay and other payment technologies, but it's not just limited to payments. If you run a museum, for example, you can install NFC devices to provide tour information. Retail outlets can put NFC tags on shelves for product information. We've written articles about different bottles that use NFCs so customers can check if they've been opened before. Ton of marketing opportunity with NFC technology, and the nice thing is that you don't have to work with an app to work with NFC, but you still do need some hardware, and it's not automatic marketing when someone enters into a certain area. They actually have to put their phone up to it. So it's a great proximity tool to start out, but more mature marketing strategies take advantage of geofencing and beacons. So geofencing. As you move around with your phone, your connection is managed between the different towers. So with this information, information can be sent to devices that are within a specific geographical area. This isn't precise technology. If you've ever experienced some difficulty with Google Maps, for example, but you do not need any hardware to go this route. Lastly, beacons are basically an indoor positioning system. It enables a smartphone or another device to perform actions when in close proximity to this piece of hardware, generally called a beacon. So typically there's a mobile app involved that enables the technology and asks for permission to send messages. And then you as a marketer or as someone who runs a museum or a sports stadium, you can push content through Bluetooth. And unlike Bluetooth in the past, which was just an absolute vampire for energy, These Bluetooth nowadays just takes a few percentage a day. And the benefits are that you can really connect to people on a much more precise level than you would be able to with geofencing. So which of these to choose, that's up to you. Define your audience and your goals and the best way to reach them and where to reach them with these 3 methods in mind. And you may want to even try some combination of them. Our dashboard allows you to link a campaign to geofence, beacons, or both. And you obviously have the option for NFC tags as well. So that's the overview. Who's using them? A lot of big brands, Virgin Airlines, Starbucks, McDonald's are using beacons and other proximity technologies. And they're also really popular for small and mid-sized businesses as well. And beyond just retail, you can find them at events, in museums, sports stadiums, and the metro. We just wrote an article last week at the first beacon installment at an alpaca zoo. So there are an eclectic array of options for beacon uses. And the more people see them in everyday life, the more common we'll see them in retail. And the more common people will have Bluetooth on because they'll see value in that. One cool example for beacons in use is Pizza Hut. They're now, this is just in California, but they're now letting you order pizzas from your car dashboard. When you get to the parking lot, a beacon in your car, sorry about that noise, a beacon in your car notifies you when it's ready. Yeah, pretty exciting. So just to share a couple beacon stats that show a very bright future for beacons. 37% of retailers in the US will launch them by the end of the year. Forbes noted that beacons will be involved in 4 of 5 trends by 2020. 53% of consumers will share their locations with brands for relevant deals. This applies beyond beacons to other proximity tools too. And finally, Business Insider expects beacons to directly influence over $4 billion worth of U.S. retail sales at top retailers. And that number is expected to climb tenfold in 2016. And that's just beacons, and that's just in the U.S. We have clients all over the world, in I think 25 different countries. Other markets will be seeing them heavily as well. So why are they so exciting? Again, there's just so many different ways they can be used. You can, just some examples here, send a coupon only to attendees that follow you that follow you on Twitter and are in a particular section of your sports stadium. You can, if you're an author, you can prompt the first chapter of your book as soon as a client walks into a bookstore. Or if you're at a business networking event, you can give visitors a V-card 10 minutes after leaving a conference room. And again, you don't even need the hardware or Bluetooth to do this if you want to use geofencing. So as with any new technology, there are some concerns from security to privacy to spamming, and of course for beacons, users generally have to be using your app and have Bluetooth on, which many outside the US still are kind of catching up on that. So how can we implement them effectively? Don't send 10,000 messages. Don't send obvious spam with no benefits. Always, always, always trying to get value. Also, educate as much as possible Bluetooth technology. As I was saying, it's not the vampire it used to be. It just takes about 2 to 5% of battery power a day if left on for 24 hours. And finally, use quality hardware and software. So as far as the hardware, pull up the slide. Keep in mind the battery length. They'll have different battery lengths. Keep in mind the housing. Is it well designed? Is it sturdy? Also the size. Think about where you're going to place it. And you don't want it to be gaudy and obvious if it's going to be in a very public place, for example. With NFC, you also want to know how much memory is available. And for beacons, you also want to know what chip and antenna it is, and make sure it's a quality one. There are two good ones on the market. And you also want to know, is it easy to configure? Can you set up the major and the minor and the UUID easily? As far as choosing your proximity software, it's a good idea to send these questions out to whoever you might integrate with. And yes, rather than building it internally with developers who've never worked with beacons, I would definitely recommend using a secure, well-known platform, one that takes beacons and proximity tools seriously and has experience with them. Besides making life easier for your app developer, it would be embarrassing if the proximity function on your app just stopped working because it's not kept up to date with the best practices. So again, shoot whoever you're thinking about working with an email with some or all of these questions. As far as is it easy to integrate, you want there to be good docs available, well-written, clear, good English, and make sure it's possible to use it on iOS and Android. Is it flexible and scalable? What triggers and actions are available? How many resources are available in the API? How many endpoints are available? And what kind of proximity campaigns are possible? If you may not want to limit, you may want to have an NFC campaign to start with, but then eventually use beacons and geofencing or even QR codes as well. Is it secure and stable? What kind of authentication system does it use? You may want to ask for the most recent update, and you do want it to be updated enough to prevent bugs, but stable. Does it have a REST API, which provides statistics, raw data, and access to things developers will need to create content? So that's the fun nitty-gritty details. I also wanted to just put this slide in here. And again, this presentation will be available in your email. You know, sometimes you want to pick a good hardware provider, and you can email me if you want to have any, if you want me to have any, me to give you any names. But sometimes it's not the hardware itself, and this is a really good troubleshooting checklist to make sure that the beacons themselves are set up correctly. So, on to the dashboard. Just a brief overview. You've got campaigns, which configure the interactions that will happen in the user's device. Points, which are the interest points where beacons will be installed, or you can use geofencing there. Reports, the points is where you can also configure the NFC devices too. Reports is where you can get the information and you can use the analytics to improve your campaigns. And finally, wake up devices, sends a signal to all mobiles with your app installed to download new campaign content, which you should not do often, just to keep in mind, or at least you should talk to a developer before you go ahead with that. So I'm gonna pop on to the dashboard right now, the most exciting part of the presentation. Hello again. Here we are. So here we are, and as I said, campaigns, points, reports, profile, and wake up devices. And there's another slide here. There's just the 5 steps to setting up a campaign. Set up your beacons, NFC, and geofencing. Create a zone and assign a point to a zone. Then you create a campaign, and then effectively use triggers and actions, which I'll get to. And finally, analyze the data and improve for next time. So let's go through all of that and get you all ready to launch. So to set up your beacons or whatever, make sure you have all that in mind. Look at the troubleshooting slide. The next step is to create a zone and assign a point to a zone. So here we are in the point section. Create your zone. New zone. Barcelona. Here we are in Barcelona. You want to have your zone a little bit bigger. at least to test out. So just do the whole city more or less. So there's your zone. Click on new point. You have Doctor explain most of this as well. Barcelona 5. And then attach that to a zone. Barcelona 5. The UID will be in your profile section, and that you should match that to your beacon. But you also need to have the major and the minor, and this is usually how we differentiate between the beacons. So we can just do 1 and 1, which is generally what we recommend. Add other beacons here too if you want to. Save that, and there you go. Again, you can set up your NFC tags here. And you do need, if you want more information on NFC tags, shoot me a message. Campaigns, new campaign. Hola. Start date, just started yesterday. Again, if you have any questions, shoot them in. A couple chat boxes here. You can have an NFC tag if you want to here. Deliver it in the background if you'd like to. You can have it only once or once every 2 seconds, or 5 hours. We'll just do once every 2 minutes. Select the zone. Barcelona 5. And Parzini campaign with beacons. And this is where you have the point there. If you don't want to use beacons, you can just use Barcelona 5 and I'll do it in just in that zone. But again, it's a little less precise. And proximity far, if they're a good distance away, depending on what beacon model you have, near or immediate. You can launch the campaign when they're entering or exiting. And yeah, here's your triggers. You have 6 available. So right now, just do it on visit points, but you can have it on after a certain time if you want to. You can target specific customers, or if they follow you, for example, you can add your social profiles here. Trash that one out. I guess we can't trash this here. Let's refresh the page. All right, visited points. Social profile, add an action. Yeah, so we'll just add the action here. You can do deliver a coupon if you want to. You can show an alert, which is what we'll do in a second here. You can have it vibrate. You can have it launch an app. For example, if you're walking by a store late at night, or if you're at a concert and a certain song comes on, you can launch a flashlight app. You can also do a survey. There's a lot of different options you have. We just added Oracle Sales Cloud activities as well. Very exciting. But for now, you can just do, hola, how are you? And that's it. Finish, save, and activate campaign. That sucks. Yes, we added a bunch of things here, but normally you just hit finish, and that would be it. But we do have a smart system here that notices when you haven't filled in certain boxes. So there it is. But the campaign would be ready if we had filled in all that information. Let me just create a simple one here. Once, visit 5 beacons. Nope. Add an action, show alerts, and we can just do hi. And hi there. How are you today? All right, and the campaign is done. Yes, that's it. So then you should be able to, let me just pull myself up here. Hello again. You should be able to see it on the phone. I don't know if you can see the lighting here. Any ideas? Hi, how are you today? Hi there, how are you today? That's it. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to ask them now. Or you can email me. You should have my email, jordan@movingtracks.io. We also have a really good support team, support@movingtracks.io. If you have any questions for them as well. Give it another 20, 30 seconds here. If not, then I'll close out. Okay, so unless there's any last minute questions, time to say hasta luego. Thank you for coming. Enjoyed spending time with you and sharing about this really cool technology. I will be in touch via email with the slide share and with your discount codes. I hope you do get to get in and experience it for yourself. All right. Take care. Cuidate.